All right, hello everybody. Welcome back. We're back again on our Star Trek of all the Star Trek films. We're getting close to being done. Like
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. This has been a long journey. I don't know what has it been like two 2 months, 2.5 months, 3 months, something like
it's been
that.
a lot. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a
We're
while.
we're we're rounding it out. We're coming to the
Yeah,
end.
I've seen a lot of new stuff, some stuff I'd never seen. Lily's the Trek expert, so she's seen it all.
I've seen it
Been
all, but I do not know it all. But
yeah,
I will admit when I don't know something. I promise.
she's been around the universe many times.
Yeah, I've
Um,
I've gone on some treks, if you will.
yeah, so today we're talking about Star Trek Into Darkness. So Star Trek, the '09 was very successful. Whatever we want to say about the problems that it had, um, getting people to watch Star Trek, getting people excited about Star Trek was probably not really one of them. So this movie was pretty anticipated. I remember like seeing some like footage and being like really like, oh my god, there's like leaked footage of like the new movie. I have to see. Oh my god, there's a trailer. I have to see it. Yeah, I remember my girlfriend had something like, "Oh, did you see this? This is like this. There's like a new clip." It's like, what? Oh my god, I have to watch it. Now also this is probably in terms of like people like in a film lying about what's going to happen in the film. This is probably the biggest example, other than Andrew Garfield, I can think of. Andrew Garfield said for a long time he was not in Spider-Man No Way Home, like overtly lied about it. There
I
were a
mean,
lot.
hey, when you're asked a point blank question and you're under contract to not say a fucking thing, you can't
Oh
do
yeah, you
anything
can
else
lie.
but lie.
Yeah,
He
you can
could.
lie.
I'm
It's
fine
totally
with him
fine.
lying.
Yeah,
And I'm fine with a movie trailer lying to me too, or just not giving me all the information.
yeah,
I feel like trailers give too much information to the point where I'm like, yeah, I don't need to see the movie
yeah,
now because you just told me everything.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So Simon Pegg, like I forget exactly what he said, but he said like, I swear to God, like there's absolutely no way that Khan is going to be in this movie.
Hey, the thing is, maybe at the time he didn't think he actually was going to be in the movie. Maybe at the time he was just like, yeah, I mean, we got a white guy. How could we can't do that?
Yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah. I feel like he knew. I'm pretty sure he knew. Because
Probably.
when we talk about Beyond, he was involved in writing that film. So
And
he's
it's amazing how good it was comparatively.
yeah, right. um,
It's almost like when you let a fan of a franchise be
yeah,
involved in the creation process,
yeah.
it's not terrible.
He's a big fan. I think I read something where he said he would have paid to be in this franchise.
Ugh, I love Simon Pegg.
Like JJ. He was like funny. He was like JJ sent him an email. It's like, hey, I want you to be Scotty. And that was it. And he was like, there was no interview, no nothing. It was just that was it. And he was like, yeah.
I
I
mean, when
was
you get
like,
that email.
yeah, I'm there.
I
Um,
heard that Benedict Cumberbatch filmed his audition tape for this movie in like his friend's kitchen on an iPhone in the middle of the night while they were kids sleeping, or something like that. And he was just like, "Yeah,
yeah,
I really wanted to do it," which is like great. I'm glad he was excited.
mhm.
I'm
Yeah. I wonder
glad.
what scene he did. I mean, look,
Yeah.
this role is good, and he
Hmm.
is, I think, good in the role. And this is like one of the great villains.
Yeah, I'm not.
Um,
Yeah, I would never say he's bad in the movie. I would never say he's bad in it.
but there's some
What I think
problems.
is Star Trek does, and I feel like big franchises tend to do this when they're auditioning someone for like a major character that is well known. They'll give him a different name, like Anson Mount. When he was auditioning for Pike, he didn't know he was auditioning for Pike. It was like Captain Hansen or something like that. And the dialogue was still Pike, but he had to like
Yeah.
they wanted to see what originality he could bring to it. So they when the guy who was recast as the new Spock, what's his name, Ethan Peck, who's actually Gregory Peck's grandson, by the way. I
Oh
had no
wow.
idea. Yeah,
Okay.
he's and when as soon as I found that, I was like, yeah, he looks exactly like him. It's
Yeah.
crazy. He thought he was auditioning for an Andorian character. He didn't know it was Spock.
Mm,
So like I feel like franchises do that when they're like it's a big deal, you
yeah. Yeah.
know. Let's uh let's just tell them it's something else.
Yeah. So another thing we should talk about with Into Darkness is there's been kind of like within this time period, especially like right after like a couple years after The Dark Knight came out, where they made films dark. Like, like there's a lot of franchises. They're like, oh, what should we do? We should just go dark. Forget what year.
It's like going back to like the Empire Strikes Back formula, because Empire Strikes Back is a pretty dark movie. No one wins at the end. No good guy wins at the end of that movie. The bad guys win. So it's kind of taking that formula and being like, okay, maybe the middle of the story should be a little more darker.
Somber.
Yeah, somber.
Yeah, I think Skyfall was it come out in 2012.
I liked Skyfall personally.
Yeah, Skyfall came out in 2012, I believe. Yeah. That was, I mean, very influenced by The Dark Knight. There's just a lot of films where they were like, oh, this is the way we need to go with our franchise. We need to make it darker, grittier, more realistic, more like, the villains need to be more kind of, I don't know, foreboding. So that's like another reason why we get this film like this, and they said Into Darkness. Like
it's very on the nose.
It's very on the nose. They're like, hey guys, this is gonna be a dark movie where people die and bad things happen. This isn't your daddy's Star Trek. This is gonna be really kind of scary and crazy.
Yeah, okay. They do some stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like I think the context for what this film is being produced into. So yeah, to get into the plot, so like we start off and they're on this, it says this Class M planet, Nibiru, something like that. So do they class planets by like size, or is it like by the type of civilization that's on it?
I think it's actually by atmosphere, whether or not it's breathable, if it's safe to go down there without like EVA suits or whatever. I think it's usually I mean, I don't know how they do it in real life. But I'm sure that I think in Star Trek they class it by like breathable atmosphere and hostile environment, things like that.
Yeah.
And possibly the inhabitants fall into that category as well.
Yeah. Because so basically we see Kirk and McCoy, they're on this planet. The planet looks really cool. It's like all red and stuff, like all the fauna.
Yeah, the design's pretty cool.
It's red. So Kirk's running. They look like they're trying to be in disguise. And we can see the natives of the planet are running after him.
It's very Indiana Jones.
It is very Indiana Jones, yeah. Because he's got some kind of item with him. Like he's taken a, some type of a relic that they kind of think is important. And so they're chasing after the relic. So then like Kirk gets attacked by some alien and then he stuns the alien, and then McCoy's like, damn it, man, that was our ride. You stunned our ride.
Oh shit. He fucked up again. Big surprise.
Yeah, big surprise there. So then they keep running, and basically we see that they're drawing them away from this volcano. There's a volcano in the background, and it's like you could tell it's like about to erupt. And so then we see in the shuttle, there's a shuttle. I think it's Uhura and Sulu and Spock, and they lower Spock into the mouth of the volcano. He's in this suit. It's really cool. Like, I guess the suit that you wear to like protect yourself from the heat. He's got some kind of scientific device with him. So they lower him down in there, and it's a little treacherous. Like he doesn't like just get lowered in. He like falls in.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I made it. I'm okay.
It's cool, bro. Didn't break any bones.
And meanwhile, he's like talking about like, hey guys, like we got to make sure that the natives don't see us, because we'll be in, we'll break the Prime Directive if we do that, and so that could be a problem. And of course, just like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. Nothing's gonna happen. Like nothing's gonna go wrong. Like we've totally got it under control. And I'm just like running through some planet I have no idea of, and you're like, you barely made it into the mouth of this volcano, but we'll be cool, right? Like,
it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
So then we see like this cool scene where Kirk and McCoy, they jump off a cliff into the ocean, and so we see that the Enterprise is in the ocean.
Which is actually a pretty cool shot. I like that. I like that it's hidden underwater.
It's very cool. And we see them get into the Enterprise through water. Now, again, Spock is in a precarious position because they can't warp him out. He doesn't want them to risk the breaking the Prime Directive by like, you know, getting the shuttle, getting the Enterprise at a certain angle so that they can actually get him out. And they're like talking to him, and things start breaking up, and like basically the thing's about to erupt. And his device is going to go off, and when it goes off, it's going to do something that's going to also kill him. So Spock then gets into the situation where he's basically like, hey, does they say like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few?
Yeah, they did that.
He says the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, so let me die in this volcano mouth.
I mean, he's not wrong. They've already committed so many violations. I mean, what's one more? What's letting your first officer die gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's actually the right thing to do, the by the book thing. Well, actually, the by the book thing to do was to not get into this situation at all, as we'll find out. But the more correct thing to do is to not break the Prime Directive and you know, let your first officer die. Kirk decides he's not going to do that, so he flies the Enterprise above the mouth of this volcano. They warp him out, and we see the device go off. It's this kind of freezing bomb, pretty much, and it works. It causes the volcano to become inert. It doesn't explode. It doesn't kill the natives, and the natives are like alive, and they see like there's a great shot of them watching the Enterprise like ascending from the ocean. They're like, "What?" You know, they have no idea. Yeah, and so then they have a new religious symbol, which is like the silhouette of the Enterprise, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, which like I mean,
it's a problem.
I don't know what it's a huge problem, but also I don't know what exactly making a volcano inert will eventually do to the rest of their society or their environment or their planet.
Yeah, because they live on an island. These species.
Well, the thing that Star Trek, the thing that's always kind of bugged me about Star Trek sometimes, and like as much as I love it, they only focus on one pocket of people. This is a planet. This is a planet. There can't just be these. Maybe there are just these little guys living on an island. I don't know. So it's just I don't know. It's just they always tend to focus on one small pocket of people instead of like, what if there's a global society somewhere else, and these are just like, because that happened on our own planet. There were advanced civilizations where at the same time where there were not as other advanced or not civilizations who weren't as advanced. So I don't know. It's just kind of something that just bugs me. Like, we don't know how this is going to affect the rest of the planet globally, I guess, is kind of silly to me. And I don't know. It's just okay. It's just okay.
Yeah.
I can't say that I hate that they break the Prime Directive, because so many other Star Trek captains and TV shows have done similar things. But the way it's portrayed is just super irresponsible.
Oh yeah. We see that Kirk is very irresponsible.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the scene is very cool. Like, again, it's very kind of emblematic of this era of Star Trek. Like, it's very colorful. It's very, like you said, it's Indiana Jones-esque. And Kirk is doing irresponsible things, and those are like the kind of the marquee ideas of this this era of the Star Trek films.
Yeah, and the fact that the Enterprise becomes a new religious symbol is a huge problem. That has way more problematic implications than it has good implications. There's I've said it, there's an entire episode where Picard is worshipped as a god, and he's like, that is not why I'm here. Like, that is actually totally inappropriate of me to want to embrace the idea that I'm a god to someone or to a species. Like, it's not. So the fact that it's just like, oh yeah, they're like drawing it and shit, and like, that's actually not good. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, it's not good. So that's a problem. And so like, yeah, that's kind of the opening of the film, and then we go into this like next interlude where we see this family in London, and so they're traveling to this hospital, and they go to see their child, and the child's like, I guess, in a coma or they have some kind of medical problem.
Yeah.
And then this guy, so it's like a wife and husband and wife, and then the husband meets this guy, John Harrison, And the John Harrison guy's like, I can save her. I can save your daughter. It's like, what? So then later on we see Kirk doing the Kirk things. He's having sex with these alien twins, like with tails.
I don't know. I have never seen them before. I think they were made up for the movie.
Yeah. So Kirk and Spock, they have a meeting with Pike, and Kirk's like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. They're gonna send us on a 5-year mission. This is gonna be really cool. And so then they're at this
fucking arrogance is astounding. It's just sorry, continue. Please continue. I'm sorry.
But that's a really important point. I feel like these two films, I think that they get him to a point at the end of this film where they evolve him. And like you're talking about, he's much more evolved once we get to Beyond.
Exactly. He's way more tolerable than than he is in this movie.
But until then, we have to deal with a lot of, and I guess that's just the way that they view Kirk. They're like, oh yeah, Kirk was like a hotshot idiot for a long time until some point. So we're going to portray him as a hotshot idiot and arrogant.
I mean, the Kelvin Kirk is definitely a hotshot idiot. Prime Kirk in the Academy had a bully. He was literally bullied. he didn't grow stones until he was actually on a ship. You know what I mean? Where he had to actually learn how to be in command. He was a nerd.
Yeah. This Kirk.
But I know this is too. Again, I have to remind myself. Yeah, this Kirk is a bully. This is the Kirk who hits on women who aren't interested in him, has 2 guys stand up for that woman, for her honor, and then he picks a fight with them and calls them Cupcake.
Yeah.
I don't want to associate with that guy, personally.
Yeah. So, they get into this meeting with Pike, and Pike's like, oh, so how was your last mission? It's like, oh, it was very uneventful. Nothing happened. We observed and reported, and then we moved on. Oh, that's really funny, because I read this report that said that you guys intervened in the life of a primitive civilization on a planet. You guys then did a scientific experiment on this volcano, and your first officer was almost killed. And Kirk's like, what? How do you know that? It's like, well, Spock filed a report. And
he filed an honest report. He actually filed, because Spock has integrity.
Yeah.
And isn't bogged down by arrogance.
Kirk is hella mad, too. He's really mad at Spock. How dare you do this, Spock? How dare you go behind my back?
How dare you be honest?
You stabbed me in the back. You.
What a piece of shit, saying Spock stabbed him in the back. What a dummy. I have no patience for this guy at all. I'm just like, you're such a butt face.
And then Pike and Kirk have a one-on-one, and Pike's like, what's the lesson to be learned? He's like, never trust a Vulcan. Wow.
You know what? Just continue.
So, and then Pike just levels him. He's like, so you think the rules don't apply to you? You think that you can do this and justify it with blind luck? And in this conversation, Kirk's like, well, no one on my crew's ever died. No one on my crew has died, and I saved Spock, so it's totally I'm in the right here. All my actions are justified.
Fucking choke on it, Kirk. Shut the fuck up. Oh my god.
Kirk. So then Pike's like, okay, there was a tribunal or something with Admiral Marcus.
Yeah, there's gonna be an inquiry or a tribunal, and he's grounded, basically.
He's grounded. He's going back to Starfleet Academy.
Yeah, because he never finished it in the first place. It's this is what happens when you just promote people willy-fucking-nilly without them actually completing without doing any command training. He never went through command training. So it's you're surprised that he's a terrible captain? Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Pike. Sorry.
Yeah, well, they put him in charge, and this is what they got. Yeah, so he's taken off the Enterprise. He's sent back to Starfleet Academy for his actions. And he's stunned. He's like, what?
A white guy got held responsible for something?
He was held responsible. I mean, to be honest, that feels like a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, no, he should have been stripped of he should have just lost his command point blank, period. He endangered the life of his first officer. He exposed himself to a primitive pre-warp species and tampered with the environment, tampered with the planet. and lied on an official Starfleet report. Those are all, he should be thrown into a goddamn penal colony.
Yeah, he should have to
like
do a year of lithium mining.
No, he should do a year in the dilithium mines and have like actual experience, have actual life experience. Like, oh my god, it's just. Like,
I mean, I'll say maybe the dilithium mine is too extreme, but I will say that like that's probably a jailable.
Something just have consequences. That's like there are very few times. Most of the time in Deep Space Nine, there are actual consequences that are followed through on. Like, you fucked up bad, and you're gonna have to do some serious like self-reflection and whatever else that comes with that. But there's no consequences, like, because then the rest of the story progresses and Kirk doesn't have to face any consequences whatsoever for what he did in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, he doesn't. So then we go back to the John Harrison storyline. So we see him like he's making a serum out of his blood. And then the father gives the stuff to the child, and we see the child recovering. Like, she's actually, it seems like she's gonna come out of the coma. Like, her vitals become better. So then we find out that this father, he's a Starfleet officer. And so then he's like going to work, and he seems like really sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. I don't know who this actor was, but for the little screen time he had, like, you really feel the torment of the deal with the devil that he made.
And like, this guy would do anything. Like, there are people that say, yeah, I'll do anything for my kids. This guy commits suicide.
Yeah. He'll become known as a terrorist. That's what his legacy is going to be, is that he'll be seen as a terrorist.
He kind of. So in this, they talk about, so he sends a message before he kills him.
Oh shit, yeah.
He basically says this person made, like, he kind of, it's kind of a cop out, but he says, oh, this guy made me do it. And so John Harrison made me do this. He forced me to do it, basically. So they blame John Harrison. They actually don't blame this guy.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I knew that they blamed John Harrison. I couldn't remember if that was off the books, though, off the public record, because like Star Trek does have like a media outlet where they report news and stuff like that. So I wasn't sure if it was going to be like, oh, this is the guy who did it, but because John Harrison's like Section 31 shit and that stuff is like deep, like that's like CIA shit. I wasn't sure if they were going to do that, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, this guy, he sends a message. So we see him like doing something on a computer, like he's sending a message that kind of explains why he did what he did, and then he like puts a ring into this cup of water, and it causes a massive, I don't know what element that was, but it causes a massive explosion in the Starfleet archive. And we can like see from his apartment or wherever he lives, his house, this picture of his daughter, and in the background is Starfleet, this building being totally blown up. Yeah, so again, like, this is pretty dark, right?
It's pretty dark. Yeah, you killed a lot of people.
Yeah, you killed a lot of people. This is terrorism. This terrorism is our perfect, Star Trek world. So
this is domestic terrorism. Like, it's hitting pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is almost like the Star Trek equivalent of like 9/11 in a way. Like,
it's similar, yeah. I would say they're definitely within the same vein.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, yeah, and again, the other thing too is like, when we think of Star Trek, it's like, oh, we're supposed to like be in a better time and create a better world, and people that are pursuing their best interests because they don't have anything else to worry about. But yeah, we're going into like terrorism and other things that are happening in real life in the world that we live in a very kind of dark way. So again, interesting choice. So then Pike and Kirk, they have this. I think he finds Kirk at a bar, and like it's kind of funny. So like Kirk was about to hit on some alien, and then Pike like shows up, like sits in between them.
Yeah, like, cock blocks him.
Yeah. Oh God, it's you again. Like, how'd you know I was gonna be here? It's like, oh, I know a lot about you. Like,
it's like I literally found you in a bar, like getting the shit kicked out of you.
Yeah. So he's like, so Pike's like, so they gave the Enterprise back to me, and you're gonna be my first officer.
Yeah, because he actually needs to learn how to be a leader. He needs his command training. So I don't necessarily hate this choice because he did skip command training. He skipped all of that shit. So I think it's not like a terrible choice. He still doesn't really get any punishment. He gets a demotion, but like
Yeah.
okay, again, that's like a slap on the wrist. That's like when a cop like does something bad and oh, we're gonna put him on desk duty for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or some shit like that. It's just like, okay. So nothing bad happens.
So then Spock gets transferred to the USS Bradbury. So they kind of broke him up.
Very apt name.
Very apt. What was the guy? He was a writer, right?
Ray Bradbury, yes. He wrote Fahrenheit 451, which is one of my favorite sci-fi novels of all time, and like just a plethora of. I think at one point he might have like written like some of the most. He might have had a record for some of the most sci-fi novels ever written, but I don't think he held on to the title like very long. But no, he was a very prolific writer. My little sister like has read way more of Bradbury than I have.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a fun one. So Admiral. So then they go to this meeting. So there's this like, because of this terrorist attack happened, there's this meeting of, I guess, what would you say, like the high command of Starfleet?
Probably most of like the most important ships in the fleet and their captains and first officers, I would assume. Like these are like going to be like the head of the fleet. There's probably some admiralty in there too, because we got RoboCop
Yeah,
at the head of the table. Oh, what's his name? I love him.
He's great. Yeah.
Fuck. He's been in Star Trek before. He played a villain in Enterprise. He played a terrorist in Enterprise, actually. It's on the tip of my tongue.
His name? I'm not sure.
It's not Paul. It's
Peter Weller.
Peter Weller.
So Peter Weller is Admiral Marcus, who's basically the head of Starfleet.
Starfleet security, or maybe it's kind of ambiguous from what I remember.
He's very high ranking. He's very high ranking.
He's very high in the Admiralty brass.
He's like basically the highest ranking person that we interact with in this film, which is important. So and basically he says, okay, we got this what would you call it, message from the guy who did the attack, that John Harrison forced him to do it. And so John Harrison is this Starfleet officer. He went rogue and he's now a terrorist, and so we have to do a manhunt for this guy. And so then, basically they're trying to figure out what to do, and he's giving orders. And then Kirk is like, doing the Kirk thing. And he's like kind of puzzled, like why they would attack this archive. And so basically he's like, the only reason to do that is like all the stuff there is public record. But if you attacked there, we would have to meet. And we would all.
It's actually a very intelligent deduction, I have to say. From this Kirk, it's a very intelligent deduction. How do you get all of your targets into one place?
Yeah, you blow.
Which is why even in real life they don't do that. Just saying.
Exactly. Yeah, but they do it in Star Trek.
But they do it in Star Trek. I mean, after 9/11, Cheney, Bush, and Rumsfeld were all in separate locations by virtue of they actually were already in separate locations. But I'm just saying they didn't fly Bush back to the White House after 9/11 happened.
Although we do continue to do State of the Union, which is
But that's not expecting. That's not after necessarily immediately after something like this.
Yeah. Although we did have a State of the Union after 9/11. But anyway.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. A lot of people have argued and like sort of talked about like the context of this film and what it means for like the Star Trek universe. And a lot of people have kind of said that like the like basically what they've said was like when Vulcan was destroyed was like that was this Star Trek universe's 9/11 actually, and that they all kind of reacted. This film was like about how they reacted so kind of in a reactionary way to that event happening. And basically like they had never expected something like that would happen. And so they become more militant. They become more kind of
suspicious.
Yeah. It's prone to do sort of militaristic things, and that maybe they would have this meeting because they would never expect that someone would try to assassinate all of them. I mean, again, it doesn't make sense that you would do that, but they didn't expect, like, they lived in a world where there was peace and security, and they didn't have to worry about, people trying to assassinate them.
Yeah, especially at this point in time, we're under the assumption that it's coming from someone of Starfleet who is, like already embedded into the Starfleet dream, whatever that is.
Exactly. Yeah. So then we see they get, like, Kirk was totally right. Like, it was just a plan to get them all in one place, and they get attacked by this little shuttlecraft, and this shuttlecraft starts firing into there. A bunch of people are getting killed, including Pike. We see Pike dying. And
yeah, super sad. Once again, Pike gets the shaft.
Yeah, Pike gets the shaft, and we see Spock mind meld with him before he dies, which is kind of, poignant because, Spock was basically willing to die at the beginning of this film. So he's like experiencing someone else's death. Yeah. Yeah. And so then like Kirk is pissed because, another part of this is, this Kirk's dad died. Mm-hmm. I guess you were also saying, like, he had, like, nephews, or at least a nephew or something like that.
He had a brother and he had a nephew and a sister-in-law, and, like, his parents lived into old age. Like,
all those people are gone from his...
Yeah, that whole life doesn't exist. Yeah. So he has, like, he's constantly searching for father figures.
Yeah. And Pike was really that guy. Pike was the one guy who, like, held him responsible for his buffoonish behavior, his sophomoric behavior, and the guy who really cared about him and, like, tried to make sure that he was on an even keel. And now that guy's dead, and he's pissed. So then the next thing we see, Scotty is like, "Oh, I figured out where he went." So he used transwarp beaming to go to Kronos.
The one place we can't go.
Yeah. We can't go there, Captain.
We can't go there.
We can't? Oh, that's an invitation for Kirk.
Oh, God.
So I looked this up. So, like, it has a really cool spelling, like, at least in English. It's like QO''NOS.
I don't know why they went with that spelling. It's never been spelled like that before.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know why they went with that spelling. Maybe because it's a different timeline. They're trying to set it apart. And if there's multiple ways of spelling it, it's your choice to, choose whichever one you want.
Yeah, because this is the Klingon homeworld, right? It's like,
yeah, I'm not sure if it's said in the movie why they can't just hail them and say you have a wanted terrorist on your planet and we need to extradite him.
That's a good point.
I don't know why they just do this clandestine mission.
I think so. I think Zero Dark 30, had that happened at this point? Yeah, that already happened, right? When we assassinated... Anyway, so yeah, I think that had already happened. That's actually kind of a similar situation, ironically.
The thing is, though, we just don't know. We don't know where the Klingons stand in this timeline, so...
It seems like they're in conflict. They are in conflict with Starfleet, for sure.
They just never establish that, though, which is really annoying to me. Like, you need to establish some things instead of just going to... It's like when freaking Captain Archer, the first fucking thing he does in Enterprise is piss off the Klingons for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And it's just like... I'm sure they would just like to be asked sometimes. Like...
Yeah, I thinking about it now, like, this is very analogous to the Osama bin Laden situation. Because, like, so bin Laden was where he got killed was in Pakistan, a part of Pakistan where the United States knew that the government of Pakistan knew that he was there, and they did nothing. He was in this massive compound, actually. And so they did a covert operation to kill him without telling the Pakistani government. As a matter of fact, in order to get like confirmation to know that he was there, they did some stuff where they it's kind of fucked up. Like they did some stuff where they said they were vaccinating people, but they were just getting blood samples. So that's how they got confirmation that he was there, or something like that, which was kind of fucked up. But anyway, so like, I feel like this is kind of similar. So it's like there's this terrorist who's in enemy territory, and they don't think that the enemy's going to hand him over.
Yeah, but they also don't know if they're harboring him either. You know what I mean? Like you don't know. Like I doubt the Klingons want a human on their freaking planet. If they are in conflict, they don't want him there. It's just, but Marcus is the one who's manipulating the situation at the end of the day. So I can't really blame Kirk for doing it. He's on a vengeance run. He's got that thing going. He wants revenge, which means he should probably be taken out of the mission, quite frankly. But he's also being used by Marcus, so I can't really blame the character for this choice of going to Kronos, because at the end of the day, Marcus just wants to start a war with them. So that's why I don't think they're in conflict. Because if he wants to start a war, then they're probably just isolationists in this timeline. Quite frankly, they're probably just there, hanging out, being alone.
That's the thing. We really don't get much information on it, but
no, they're just used as cannon fodder.
They're used as cannon fodder.
It's a great scene.
It's a kick-ass scene that we're gonna get. Yeah.
We'll get
one thing I really like. So like in the scene, they have this. So they meet with Admiral Marcus, and they're like, oh, he's on Kronos, and Kirk's like, send me there, send me on this mission to go and do this thing, and Marcus is like, I don't know, should I do it? He's talking.
He wants revenge.
This guy could be a useful idiot for me because
you literally just tied your puppet strings for you, sweetie.
Yeah. And he's like talking like, son, our way of life is about to change. Like war is coming and blah 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 blah. And we get this cool like panning shot of like they have every NASA, like space object.
Yeah, the little models. Yeah, that's a nice touch.
I really like that. And then the last one is the Dreadnought ship, which I know you hate it, right?
I just don't like it. It's just it's a ship of war, which I know the movie's like going for that thing, and it's just like that's not what Star Trek is about, JJ. It's just not. Anytime the Federation has fallen into war, it's been usually through miscommunication. It hasn't been because Starfleet's been wanting to pick a fight. It's been through clandestine operations or miscommunications or rogue sects of certain species. Like we saw that with the Klingons in Star Trek Undiscovered Country, I think.
Yeah.
When they don't want peace between, Kronos and Earth. So it's not like we haven't seen that before, but it's just kind of like they're really hammering that in. You know what I mean? Yes. Starfleet is about bridging gaps, not creating divides.
Yeah, exactly. Not this Starfleet though, unfortunately.
Yeah, and again, I have to keep reminding myself it's a different timeline, but it's just not.
It just rubs you the wrong way.
It rubs me the wrong way because it's not what Star Trek is about.
So yeah, Admiral Marcus sends Kirk on this mission. He's like, okay, so I need you to surgically kill Harrison. I need you to like use these missiles, and I'm going to give you these torpedoes, and use one to go in there, shoot him, find him, shoot him, kill him, and then leave. That's your mission, if you choose to accept it. And he says, I accept it, but I want Spock as my first officer again. And he's like, okay. So they're off to assassinate this terrorist.
It's literally an assassination. It's not. It's nothing else. And the only one who actually seems like intelligent enough to realize something isn't right is Scotty. Like Spock doesn't say dick, does he?
Spock tells him to not. So like when he's reinstated, he says, by the way, you need to rethink this. This is a bad idea. So,
okay,
like,
good.
Starfleet says, oh, what's going on?
My dog's making a whole bunch of crazy noise.
The mailman is there, maybe.
Yeah, he's got it. He's fine. Okay, sorry, continue.
So Starfleet, so he's like, Spock's like, Starfleet says that we people get a trial. Like,
yes, okay, good. So yeah, Spock actually says something intelligent.
Yeah, good. Spock is like this is insane. Like, people get a trial at Starfleet. Like, we don't just like kill people. We're not
mercenaries. You know what I mean? Like that's Spock is actually being the conscious one. And again, I know it's because Kirk is like he's feeling a lot of feelings. He's butthurt right now and he's pissed and he's being used by Marcus. But it's just painful to watch.
Yeah. And then we meet Carol Wallace, she boards as a science officer.
Biggest fucking blasphemy of this goddamn movie.
Yeah. So we'll kind of put a pin in the Carol Wallace situation.
We're gonna put a big old pin.
Well, let's just say that there's a lot to be discerned about Carol Wallace, and even Kirk's like, why do we need another science officer? And Kirk is thinking with the other head. He's like, oh well, I'm glad I wish I requested her. So this next scene is like really, I think really one of the most important ones in the movie. So Scotty is like not letting these torpedoes aboard this ship, cannot do it. And Kirk's like, well, why not? It's not a big deal. It's like, it's kind of a really big deal because they won't tell me what's in the torpedoes. They say it's classified information, and so because of that, I don't know what it's going to do to the engineering of our ship. It could totally throw us out of whack. It could fuck everything up.
Science matters.
Yeah, exactly. Science matters. And so either you tell me what's in them, or I don't let them on the ship. And basically, Kirk's like, no, I need you to just sign off on it. I need you to sign off on it and just do it. And
I need you to look the other way and not have integrity like me.
Yeah, and Sky's like, if you keep asking me, I'm gonna resign. I'm going to resign. And they get into an argument, and Kirk's like, okay, I accept your resignation. Goodbye. So he fires him. He fires him because he did his job.
Pretty much. That's what happens when you ask questions, Scotty, and that's what happens when you question Kelvin and Kirk. You get fired.
You get fired. Well, again, it's like he's doing his job.
Yeah, he's doing his job. Like he's science matters. Like it does. You can't just throw a bunch of shit in a beaker and not expect an explosion or something like that. Like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So then Kirk and Uhura are like on the turbo lift and they're having a talk about Spock and like.
I do like this moment. Are you guys fighting? What is that even like? I love that.
And because they both have these strained relationships with Spock.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that one of them is a friendship, the other one is an actual relationship, but they're both like man, this guy's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. What is that even like? I do like that.
Yeah.
It's a good. They drop the facade of captain and lieutenant, and they're actually just like, we're friends basically now. Like now that I know you have a boyfriend, I'm not going to try and fuck you anymore, basically. So they have a moment. It's very brief, but it's a moment of just like, oh shit, girl, I'm sorry. That must be super awkward.
Yeah. So then now that Kirk has fired his the chief
engineer. Yep.
Yeah, the chief engineer. So we need to promote someone else. And so Chekhov gets promoted. He's like, yeah, put on a red shirt. I need you to take over as chief engineer.
I swear to God, the audience at the theater gasped when he put on a red shirt.
Yeah. It's like, oh,
we know what that means.
Yeah, it's all bad. Poor Chekhov. So Kirk then makes a shipwide broadcast about the mission. He's like, hey, Sky John Harrison, we need to. He killed Admiral Pike, who's a friend of this ship. Blah 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 blah. And then he says, we're gonna bring him to justice. So basically, he's not gonna do the assassination. So that's kind of moving in the right direction. He's
going in the right direction.
He's still doing this mission, which, for all intents and purposes, is kind of like not a good idea. I mean, it's not a good idea.
Off the books rogue. That's what it is. Sanctioned rogue mission.
Yeah, but at least he's not going to do the assassination. So then Spock confronts Carol Wallace. He's like, oh, so why'd you change your last name? Your last name was Marcus, so I'm guessing you're related to the Admiral.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, yeah, I guess now we should talk about this Carol Marcus. So, so the Carol Marcus that we meet in Rathacon, she's a scientist.
Yep.
She's and nothing to do with military science.
No, nothing. She wants to stay as far away from Starfleet as humanly possible because they will take her technology and use it in negative ways. That is her biggest fear, actually.
Yeah. This Marcus is very different Very different. So she is a weapons specialist. And I don't know, like, is there any way that these two characters like could like coexist? Like where you could see this Carol Marcus becoming the one from Wrath of Khan?
No. I don't see it at all. There's nothing about them that is even remotely similar, except that they are both blonde and have the same name. Other than that, they're not the same person.
It's like an inversion, right? It's a total inversion of the character.
Yeah, and even though it's a different timeline, Kirk still has Kirk traits to an extent. Spock is still very Spock. This is not the same person at all. There's not even anything remotely close to being, except for maybe being flirtatious towards Kirk. I would see Prime Kirk meeting this Carol Marcus as being like, yeah, you're the enemy. You're the enemy. That's what you are.
Yeah. It's kind of puzzling, honestly, because like the other thing too is like I could never imagine her and Kirk being together. Not really.
I can imagine these two being together. I can imagine the Kelvin Carol and the Kelvin Kirk being together because it's not the same Carol at all. I think Kelvin Kirk would meet Prime Carol Marcus and be like, nude. I think he would genuinely just be a dick to her.
Oh.
Because Carol Marcus in the Prime timeline is smarter than he is.
Mm-hmm.
And she's even kind of smarter than Prime Kirk, but like Prime Kirk has an open dialogue with that Carol because he knows what's going on with Genesis. He knows the whole project back to front. He's able to give an entire presentation about it. He finds the project interesting. He thinks her work is fascinating. He admires her.
Yeah. This Kirk, he likes to have sex with aliens.
Well, I mean, Prime Kirk had sex with aliens too. Like, that's nothing different about the character. He's constantly doing it, constantly.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's like they only focused on the sexualized aspect of Kirk. They only focused on him being a seducer or having charm or being handsome or something like that. That's the only thing that they focused on. And then just like wrote some outlines on that instead of just being like, oh, maybe he's smart. Maybe he's something else. I don't know.
Yeah, anything. So it's kind of puzzling. Like it's a massive shift from the original version of the character.
It really is blasphemous. It really is what they do to Carol Marcus. I hate it. Not
really in a way that makes it better, but people like the thing too about, and I think this is really emblematic. The thing about these these films, like they're not for like your hardcore Star Trek fan.
No, not at all.
They're for people who have no idea about Star Trek, basically. For the most part.
Yes and no, but I think these movies are still in the introduction of Star Trek to people who may not have ever watched it before.
Yeah.
But seriously, like if you just go back and watch like the interactions between Carol Marcus and Prime Kirk are just like there's substance to them. And I don't know if it's necessarily because they're both older and they have that history to pull from and to like have the actors, play off of that with one another. Which he just sees Carol in her underwear. There's no substance to that. What? Turn around. It's like
turn around.
It's like, fuck you, JJ Abrams. Like why? There's no substance to this at all. She's just a sexualized amalgamation of teenage boy fantasies. That's all she is. And I don't find that interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, so then that was a good tangent. So then we see the Enterprise drop out of warp manually. This is not good. And they had to do an emergency stop, and Kirk's like, "What the hell is going on? Chekhov, did you break my ship?"
It's not your ship, you little shit.
Yeah. So basically, there were something was off with their engineering,
It's almost like Scotty was right.
And so they're just stuck floating in space 20 minutes out of Kronos. This is like really bad.
That's not where you want to be.
Yeah. And if they get found out, so if they get found out, like, they're going to get attacked by, some birds of prey, and they would be dead.
Yeah, I mean, it's their space. They can attack them. And, or they'll be like, you need to give us an explanation of why you're here. And then that'll open up the door for either you're going to tell them the truth or you're going to lie to them, which is, both are not great.
Yeah. So then Kirk, Spock, and Uhura, plus some red shirts, they go on this mission to take a shuttle down to Kronos to capture Harrison. And they leave Sulu in charge, and
Sulu sits in the chair. I love when Sulu sits in the chair.
He like sends this message to John Harrison, this very threatening message.
I will end you.
Do not test me or whatever.
And McCoy's just like, remind me not to piss you off.
It's great. Yeah. So then, they're in this shuttle, and Uhura, like, she does the thing where you start the fight because you want to have the fight.
It's such an inappropriate time to do this. Uhura, like. I like that she does shut Kirk up though at one point where he's like, "Hey guys, maybe we should just sorry, Captain, 1 minute." And she whips around in her chair, but it's also just it shows it. I think it's a level of it shows complete immaturity on her part, in my opinion. I'm just like, I know that there needs to be conflict. I know that there needs to be drama, and a lot of people are very invested in Spock and Uhura's relationship in the Kelvin timeline, but I'm just like, But it adds for humor. It adds for humor to the scene. It lightens it a little bit before it gets super, super dark.
Yeah.
And you do have to have that balance too. That is important.
Yeah, and so like basically she's mad because like Spock was gonna just die and like not care at all. And basically I'm sure it's emblematic of like when you're in a relationship with someone who is not very emotional, it can feel, especially if you're like a person who has emotions and you're like dealing with a wall. I think that was just like a breaking point, and that's probably what was the problem in their relationship for her.
I totally do see where she's coming from. Trust me, girl, I get it. But that's why you need patience.
Yeah.
You need patience, especially for someone like Spock. Not only does he come from a culture that frowns upon emotions, while also simultaneously feeling emotions way stronger than you ever will. And you have to repress that. And you want him to just be like, yeah, I love you. It's just like that takes years to unlearn that. I see it very similarly to religious indoctrination, unlearning all of that. That takes years to unlearn some of those behaviors and ideas, and he's not just gonna wake up one morning and be like, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
There was an episode of TOS where it took spores being sprayed in Spock's face for him to crack a smile. It's just it takes time. This is who we're talking about. We're talking about someone who's extremely repressed in his emotions, trying to be in a romantic relationship with a human.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna take time, girl.
It's gonna take time, and then Spock gives this great speech about like
yes, he does.
I do like have emotions, and like I was emotional about my planet being destroyed, of which I'm one of the few people left. I do love you, Uhura, but blah blah blah, all this stuff. And yeah, it's great Spock moment.
He finally puts it into perspective for her. It's just like, I hear you. I totally get what you're saying. It's actually a really good fight or disagreement that they have. She airs her grievances. She airs what's wrong. And he's like, okay, I hear you. And this is why I am this way. Also, my planet blew up like 2 years ago.
Yeah. And the other thing too is like, I think that's what Uhura wanted. She wanted to get that like emotional.
Yeah, yes.
Like, basically she's like, hey, why didn't you just tell me this? like why did I have to get into a fight with you for you to say this to me?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to hear. That's what I wanted to feel.
I mean, also sometimes when people have a near-death experience, Vulcan or not, sometimes you need to process that too. That takes some time to process.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I almost did just die. I'm gonna sit with that for a little bit.
Yeah. So then, Kirk and crew, like they're on Kronos. They're flying around, and Kirk is doing his thing, being the hotshot that he is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Dougie.
She's going under now.
Yeah. And so they're trying not to get captured by the Klingons, and
Pretty much
they fail. And the Klingons are like screaming at them. It's like, you must surrender now, blah, blah, blah. What are you doing? So Uhura's like, okay, you brought me on this mission because I can speak Klingon. Like, allow me to speak Klingon. So she goes,
let her character be useful.
She tries to defuse the situation. And so what'd you think of like the way she tried to handle this?
That was the worst way you could have handled a Klingon encounter, in my opinion. Don't appeal to them. That shows weakness. She should have walked up to him and kicked him in the balls. That's what she should have done. Assert your fucking dominance. Do it. Assert your dominance. They will respect you for it. He will be happy you did that. I guarantee it. Instead, she's like, oh, let me appeal to your better side.
Yeah.
We're looking for a murderer who's a
threat
to you. Yeah, he has no honor. And he's just like, you don't have any honor because you're insulting me with this introduction, lady. So yeah, he reacted appropriately.
Yeah,
it was in my opinion, it was, as much as we know about Klingon culture, it was disrespectful.
Yeah, it was not good. It didn't work.
Throwing a chair in his face. He probably would have proposed to you.
Yeah.
That's like in Star Trek Generations. I hope you're trying to initiate a mating ritual. They're into that. You can do it, girl. It's fine. But no, it was terrible. It was not good.
It does not work at all.
I would have loved to have seen Zoe Saldana just like walk right up to that Klingon and punch him right in the face. She is so badass. I would have loved to have seen that. We needed Gamora, not her at that moment.
Yeah, Gamora would have handled the situation well.
But again, it's all
So that doesn't work, and so then they're gonna kill her. And then, hey, John Harrison shows up, and he starts. I mean, he's a one-man wrecking crew. This scene is very cool.
It is a very, very good action scene. I will say it is very, very good.
Yeah, because he's got like two guns. He's got one like massive gun,
massive like Gatling gun or some shit. And he's just like, woo, 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 woo. I remember seeing this in the theater with my sister and her boyfriend. We were like, what the hell?
Yeah,
is happening? Wow,
it's really intense. It's
very intense.
Because he's got the massive Gatling gun in one hand, and then he's got another gun in another hand, and he's just taking people out.
Yeah, he's got like a phaser rifle or something like that. Yeah, he's just like, he's got like the dark emo cloak on and everything too. It's like, it's a very good look. It's a very good look. It's a very good scene.
And then he's like jumping off this platform, and when he jumps, it's like
a freaking Jedi jump, man.
Yeah, it is. It is like a Jedi. And so he just starts killing people. He kills a bunch of people, and Kirk and the crew, they fight back too. They're getting into the fight with these Klingons, and they kill everybody.
Mm-hmm. And John Harrison, I think, saves Kirk's life at one point or something. He saves one of them. Technically, he saved all of them by interfering. But yeah.
Yeah, so after killing everyone, he asks them about the torpedoes. He's like, how many torpedoes do you have? Like, how many torpedoes? And Spock's like, there's 72. And he's like, I surrender. And then Kirk
that was too easy.
Yeah, exactly. And then Kirk tries to beat him up. Like, he's just like punching him, and John Harrison's like,
he doesn't even bleed. There's no reaction whatsoever. And what is he? Captain. That is like, okay, you were definitely pulling Ricardo Montalban when he said that. Like, Captain. It's the cadence of the way Ricardo Montalban would say captain that I feel like Benedict Cumberbatch totally nailed. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he was doing it on purpose, but
well,
it's good.
He was doing it on purpose. He was doing it for you. Like, seriously, he was doing it for the fans.
I mean, hey, that's cool. I was in love with that man for a very long time.
Yeah. So John Harrison, he's taken into the brig. McCoy takes a blood sample of him, which is going to be important later. And then Harrison's like, so why aren't we moving, Captain?
You can tell the ship's not moving. It's just like, oh, damn, you scary.
And Kirk's like, doesn't really say anything. He's like, did you guys like have weird warp malfunction right outside of Klingon space? Is that what happened? And Kirk's like, No, none of your business.
You're scaring me, sir.
Yeah, you're really scary. This is really intense. And then he just like he gives them these coordinates. Like, check out these coordinates. You'll find out all you need to know about my situation. And that's it. That's all he says. Very, very mysterious. Very mysterious. This John Harrison. So then Kirk calls Scotty, and he's like, "Hey, so like you remember like how
I fucked up.
So yeah, I fired you, and so yeah, like our ship, maybe it stopped working."
So my friend's ship suddenly stopped working in the middle of the warp. He may have brought on some unknown torpedoes with carrying a payload we know nothing about. And he's just wondering if I knew anyone with expertise that maybe had gone through something similar. I don't know, Scotty, do you have any answers for my friend?
Yeah, my friend, like his warp core just like stopped working because of some kind of imbalance of different chemical. I don't really understand because I'm
the periodic table is very confusing, Scotty. Can you help me?
Yeah. So like what would you do in that situation? Oh yeah, by the way, here's these coordinates. Could you like check it out for me?
I need you to do me a favor after firing you.
I fired you. Yeah, so that's really funny. And so Scotty's like at a bar, and
I love this bar. I would totally. I don't go to bars for many reasons, but I would go to this. I would go to a Star Trek bar. Absolutely.
Yeah. At a bar with his alien friend, and then he's like, "I'm not gonna help him. I'm not."
Captain Perfect Hair. I love that.
It's like, fine, I'll help him. Like, God, you're so annoying. So then Spock tells Kirk about Carol Wallace is actually Carol Marcus. And so then Carol, because this Carol is a weapons expert, she's going to investigate these torpedoes off the ship on the planet, on a planet. I'm not sure which planet, but
probably like some moon or something like that. I mean, this Carol would probably do it with live subjects right next to her, but whatever.
Yeah. So then, we get the scene you're talking about. Like they're in the shuttle, and she's like, "Turn around, Kirk." Also, was she British in the original?
No, she wasn't.
What the?
I forget this.
Like, what is going on?
Eve. Yeah, Alice Eve is not. I don't think Alice Eve is a bad actress. I think she's very beautiful. I think she's like. There's something very. I've watched her in interviews. There's something very cute about her personality. She's just totally. She's just a prop. It's the same freaking problem I have with Captain Phasma in Star Wars. She's literally just a prop. You hire a very talented actress to do what?
Oh, with Phasma, that was a toy.
That was just that was literally just a prop. I was like, you wasted Gwendolyn Christie. You wasted Gwen.
Yeah, I mean that character is so disappointing because you realize like, oh, they just had a toy idea in mind. So the toy people were like, well, we need another stormtrooper that's different. Okay,
yeah, we need a unique design, which isn't even all. They just changed the color. That's all they did, and they gave her a cape.
The silver-plated.
And don't get me wrong, it's a cool design. When I saw her in the trailer, I was like, oh shit, Gwendolyn Christie's gonna be such a badass. Nope.
No.
Nope.
No.
So it's the same thing with Alice Eve.
It could have been good. Like both of these, it could have been good, but they made some choices that just leave it flat. It's flat.
It's really empty. It's very, very empty. It's very hollow. It's shallow. It's exceptionally shallow. And he's just like Kirk wouldn't have fallen in love with Carol and nearly given up his Starfleet career because he saw her in her panties. No, she was smart. She was cool. She didn't take his bullshit. This girl is just like, just get it away.
Turn around, Kirk. Yeah,
turn around. Like, why are you getting naked in a shuttle in a docking bay? Not a docking bay. Whatever. Where they keep the shuttles. Why aren't you going into another room?
Yeah, I know. Or they're just like,
I mean, I get that time is of the essence. Like, I get that, but like, it's just unnecessary. That's all it is. It's just unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, that's another. I mean, there was that one scene. What was that film? Was that the sixth film where Uhura does like that weird dance?
Yeah, that was weird. I don't remember. I just
Yeah, that's when you want to go into the brain void. I think that was the 6th film where that happened.
6 or 7 or 5. It might have been 5. I don't remember which one it was, but she did do her fan dance. But good for Nichelle Nichols. That was really her.
Yeah. Yeah, this is more gratuitous. Like, this is very gratuitous.
This is fanboy-y. This is, I've never seen a naked woman before.
Like, oh my god, it's gonna be so cool. She's gonna be
so cool. She's gonna be in her panties. I picked them out myself, Alice. It's like, get the fuck away from me. Ew.
Anyway. Yeah. So then they do this whole thing disabling the torpedo, and like, why was McCoy there?
I have no idea.
Why the fuck was McCoy there?
I don't know why your family care doctor is helping you dismantle a torpedo. It makes it. Oh, and what can these hands do for you, Miss Marcus or something, Dr. Marcus? I'm like, just stop.
I don't know why it was there. The only thing I could think of is that they needed someone with surgical precision.
Maybe,
but he
does make the hands joke, but he doesn't do anything. He gets stuck.
Well, he tries. He gets stuck, and then she does it. She disables it anyway.
There's no precision. She just rips out the thing. She doesn't. They don't do anything smart. He gets stuck, makes a joke, and she just rips out the thing. She doesn't actually show her expertise once. Not once does Carol Marcus, except maybe in exposition, does she ever show her intelligence at all. And I don't know what JJ Abrams has against smart women in Star Trek. I do not know what he has against them.
Well, we'll just leave that there.
We'll leave that there.
I think that's a strong point, well made. So once they disable this torpedo, they find a cryogenically frozen dude in there. And meanwhile, Scotty goes to this location. It's somewhere. I believe it's one of the moons of Saturn. I think it might even be Titan. I forget.
I think it is Titan.
Yeah, I think it's Titan. They go to Titan, and we don't see what he sees, but he's like got this like, oh shit look on his face.
Yeah.
And we see a bunch of shuttles going into this bay. A bunch of shuttles going into a shuttle.
Yeah,
bay.
and I think he just kind of floats in with them.
He goes with them, yeah. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh yeah, I'm one of you guys. Again, a very kind of Indiana Jones moment. So then we get the scene. We get the scene. So Kirk talks to John Harrison again. And he's like, why is there a dude in this torpedo? He's like, there are men and women in all of those.
All the torpedoes, Kirk.
And then we get the reveal. It's like Harrison was a fiction created by your Admiral Marcus. My name is Khan.
No, you are not.
Okay, so I will say, like, when I saw this the first time, because, like, again, we all know he's Khan. We know he's Khan. Now, there's some little inkling where it's like, maybe it's not Khan, maybe someone else, but it really feels
he
like
definitely shouldn't have been.
But when he says, my name is Khan, and if you kind of have some, it's funny. So I watched this with my girlfriend, right? And this is like, I feel like this is a good, like what I guess you could call the fan service test. If you have someone else watch a thing who's like totally blank, and if they don't have a reaction to it, then it's fan service. So when he was like, my name is Khan, she was like, nothing. Nothing. No reaction.
Same with Ryan.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, because like again, that's
Ryan was kind of Ryan said so.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, I mean, there's no established reason why we should care about Khan in this universe.
No, none whatsoever. Which is they skipped Space Seed. If you don't have Space Seed, you don't have Wrath of Khan. You can't have one without the other. If you just made Wrath of Khan, we'd be like, okay, it'd be the same situation. Why should we care? Although, because he was marooned on a freaking planet and something blew up and changed the whole environment of his planet, yeah, we care a little bit. Because that sucks. You got marooned on a planet. We were going to come and check on you. Nobody ever did. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I care a little bit. But yeah, there's nothing to establish Khan in this universe. They just skip Space Seed because, oh, that's TOS camp. Who cares? It's like, you can't have Wrath of Khan without Space Seed.
Yeah, it's a problem because basically what we're doing is and they really kind of double down on this idea. We're taking the prime stuff of Khan and we're trying to contextualize that to make us care about this character. Because I mean, what we've seen, like one thing we'll say, right? What we've seen so far of this character is that he's very cunning, he's very powerful. We saw him take out a bunch of Klingons. We saw him like do some clandestine kind of shit against the Federation, do some terrorism. So he's obviously very kind of, he's good at what he does, and what he's doing is destruction and terror. So we know that, but we don't know anything.
I wouldn't put that past. Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't put any of that past Ricardo Montalban's Khan either. Of course, I could totally, if they could have done it, I totally could have seen him wiping out an entire platoon of Klingons. Absolutely no freaking problem, single-handedly. I definitely could have seen that happen. And he is cunning, and he is strategic. Because you have to remember, Khan was created. He's very intelligent. Khan was created to be the better version of a human being in every way possible. He was genetically engineered. Like, he's gonna be better. He's just gonna be better in every way. So those things can't really change because the eugenics war still happened. It's just,
I do really like this.
And again, Benedict it's a very, very, very good scene. Benedict Cumberbatch sells it, and it's really, really good, and his acting is fantastic. But that's not Khan.
It's a different kind of Khan. Yeah, I really like he's he says, I'm Khan. It's like, well, like why would an admiral need you? Like, they needed my mind. They needed a warrior's mind. It's like, and what he says like to Khan, he's like how can you even be expected to break rules? You can't even break, like, if you can't break rules, how could you be expected to break bones or something?
Oh, like he'll show you. Like,
yeah, and then he's like, after Vulcan was destroyed, they needed more powerful weapons for a more dangerous age. And so then they woke him up and they used him, Marcus, like, exploited my intellect, my tenacity, my ferocity to create more powerful weapons.
Which is like, that sucks, dude. That sucks for you.
It does. And yeah,
it definitely brings home more of the humanity side of Khan. He's not just a mindless killing machine. He's not a Terminator. He has a family that he does care about. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing. He wants to free them and also take over the world, which is not good.
Yeah, he wants to take over the world. He wants to take care of his crew. And that's the thing he cares about. His crew is in the torpedoes, and he wants to save them. And I think Marcus said that he killed them all or something like that, and he thought they were all dead. And so then
he thought they were all dead, but he figured out they were in the torpedoes or something like that.
Yeah. So I think this scene's really good. I think that he sells it really, really well, and the acting is absolutely like perfection. Like, it's just does everything you'd want from this character. And I think his portrayal of Khan is very, very good. Despite all the other weirdness in the plot, I think his actual acting, he comes off like really like frightening.
Yeah, he comes across as very threatening.
Yeah. So yeah, it totally works for me. So then, hey, someone warps in with this other ship, and they're like, what? So it's Admiral Marcus, and then we get this kind of interesting situation, right, between Marcus and Kirk. So Kirk is like, basically they want Kirk to give up Khan, but they call him Harrison, but he's like, yeah, I spoke with Khan and blah 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 blah.
And Peter Weller's like, shit.
I was really hoping you wouldn't have talked to him because blah 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 blah, and he gives this whole spiel about like this guy is kind of crazy.
He's Dick Cheney, calm down.
Yeah, he's your typical crazy admiral.
He's the bad admiral. Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah,
you should have known. Like, I think Star Trek fans immediately didn't trust Peter Weller in this movie. But yeah, exactly. Y'all should have known.
He's and especially like when it's him and then he's an admiral. Ooh, that's two negatives already.
It's like when they cast Lucius Malfoy, Jason Isaacs, to be a Star Trek captain. It's like, we should have known something was wrong.
Yeah.
We should have known.
Yeah, exactly. And so then, there's this whole thing going on, and basically Kirk is like, I'm not going to give this guy up because they're going to kill him. And then again, he basically kind of made a promise that he's not going to just do vengeance.
Yeah, and honestly, Khan convinced him that don't trust Marcus. Like, I might be a bad guy, but he is also a really bad guy. He will try to kill you. Like, Khan tells him, like, he will kill everyone on the ship and not bat an eye. He does not care. Do not trust him. You don't have to trust me either, but don't trust him.
Don't trust him, yeah. So then the Enterprise warps to so basically he's like he asks like Chekhov, like, can we warp? He's like, can we warp? Okay, yeah, we can do it. If we're forced to, we can do it. So they warp. They're going to Earth, and Kirk's like, okay, we're done. It's over. But hey, guess
I did
what?
my job.
Carol Marx is like, no, you don't understand. They have weapons. They have new weapons. Blah blah blah. And so their ship has weapons that allow them to attack another ship and warp.
I actually love this shot. I love the shot of the dreadnought just coming out of it is and the sound, you know how much I love sound design, and it just sounds like electricity just like getting strangled basically. And it's just coming at them, and it literally looks like a predator coming at like a little fish.
Yeah, a smaller fish. Yeah,
it's like when a shark, if you've ever seen a shark underwater before it breaches, it's absolutely terrifying. You just see this face coming at you, and then boom, it pops out of the water and grabs the seal, and it's crazy. And that's what it reminds me of. Very good visuals.
Yeah. And we see some people like in Star Trek 09, we saw some people get sucked out of the airlock. Now people are getting sucked out of the airlock into I don't know what.
They're probably getting vaporized. If you're moving at the speed of light, you're vaporized. Like there's nothing left of you. Probably you got warped to death.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like how you would die. I mean, it's all theoretical, but
I would assume you probably just vaporized.
I think your body would basically get crushed, because what would happen is your mass would become basically infinite.
Oh God, it's a horrible way to go.
So it was basically the equivalent of jumping off a bridge into the water. I think is pretty much.
Yeah, because water's hard. Like most people don't think of it as hard, but it is.
So yeah, it would pretty much be like getting thrown against the wall. With a more fun light show though.
Hopefully you don't feel anything.
Yeah. So then they get thrown out of warp because they get attacked. And they're somewhere. I think they're kind of near the moon at this point. They're not at Earth, but they're near the moon.
Yeah, they're in the home stretch.
They're in the home stretch, but they're not home yet.
Nope.
And this ship is like the other ship is kick-ass.
Yeah.
Very weird, ugly looking.
I hate it so much. She's got some shit, but it's all just filler. There's no substance.
Yeah. So then Carol is like pleading with her dad's like, please don't kill us, blah blah blah, and he's like,
I don't believe the man who raised me. We don't believe the man who raised us would do a lot of fucking shit. Okay.
Yeah, but you
don't know your dad as a person. Like you don't know your dad like that. Like your dad as dad, not as Admiral Marcus. And you know what? He doesn't want to blow the ship up with her on it, so why didn't they think he would?
I know. Why didn't they think he was just gonna warp her out? Like. Yeah, so she just warps her away.
I like Alice Eve's pleading in that moment. Like I think it's stupid, but her acting does come across I think very well in that moment. Like her eyes are all welling up, and like I've had moments like that where I'm like, that's not my dad. Why are you talking to me like that? Like who do you think you are? So it's a relatable moment, but then he's just like, I don't know why she starts screaming when she starts getting like beamed away. Yeah, it's like a horror movie moment or something. It's like, it's like, he has transporter technology, probably way better than yours. So, just saying, you probably should have seen it coming.
Yeah, I should have seen that coming. So then we get, I think this next scene is really good. So like basically Marcus is like, okay, I'm going to blow you guys up. You went rogue. You helped Harrison. I'm going to kill all of you guys. And then I'm going to start the war that I wanted. And then Kirk's like,
the war he always dreamed of. It's like, oh.
Yeah. So then Kirk is like, no, please. Can you just like, I'll tell you where Harrison is. Just spare my crew. That's all that I want. And
because he's having that moment where that Pike was talking. You've never faced losing people. You just had tons of people get blown out of a fucking hull breach. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are dead because of you now.
And you know what this really is? This is like the actual Kobayashi Maru moment for him.
Yes, this is his actual Kobayashi Maru test. This is the real thing. There's no way you're gonna win this.
Yeah.
There's no way you can. And you can't even. And then he just turns around and says, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
You're sorry? You're sorry we're all gonna get blown out?
Oh my god.
Thanks for that. I'm so glad you're sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a good scene because this is like when he's finally like getting it.
This is when he finally becomes a man. This is when he finally becomes a captain. He's finally
he's actually a captain, 100%. Before he was just a flyboy.
He was a fuck boy. He wasn't a fly boy. He was a fuck boy. Considering every other scene he's in, he's with a naked woman. He's on Tinder only swiping right.
Yeah, that would be so. Oh my god, they should do that in a movie. I mean, it would have been better for like the earlier Kirk, like the 09 Kirk. That's what he would do. Like, could you imagine, like you see, and it's like alien, human, alien. He's just swiping.
Yeah, I mean, like, that would have been great. That would have been. I think that would have been awesome. But yeah, he finally becomes a captain in the moments right before he's about to be annihilated.
Yeah, but you know, like we've finally gotten there.
If he had gone through command training, he probably would have already had this moment.
Yeah.
But then something happens to the dread ass. So
the dread ass, yeah. So it's totally disabled, and it's like what? And Scotty disabled all the weapons. And he's like, he saved them totally. He saved them, but like they don't have much time.
I know. I love that Scotty snuck onto the bridge, and he's got his little community. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Like, I'm here in the bridge, Captain. But
he's all sweaty. He's running all over the place.
Yeah. So then Kirk does what we all know he has to do, but even he knows they don't want to do. He aligns himself with Khan to take over Marcus's ship.
Which is great. I'm actually fine with that. I don't mind that they align themselves for this moment where it's mutually beneficial. It's not because they're gonna become friends. It's not because they're bros. It's mutually beneficial to both of them. And I actually don't mind that about the story.
And then there's like another like really again like just kind of underscoring like that this Kirk finally gets it. Like he's telling Spock what he's gonna do, and Spock's like, "Oh, you can't trust him." He's like, "Yeah, I can't trust him, but like, what else are we gonna do?" And he's like, "Well, Captain, blah blah." He's like, and then Kirk's like, "You know, Spock, I shouldn't be captain. You should be captain."
Mm.
And again, I just thought that was like really kind of. It just shows like this is it. He's finally getting it. He's finally seeing like, oh shit, almost got everybody killed, and it is just luck. I'm a piece of shit.
I'm bad at this.
Yeah, I'm bad at this. Wow.
It's almost like I didn't have training or something.
Yeah. So yeah, then you know, he talks to Khan, and there's like, oh yeah, like, can you tell me about the ship? It's Dreadnought class, 2 times this. It's like 2 times the speed, 3 times the size. Blah 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 blah. I think it's not here, but later on he says like, oh yeah, the ship has been created to operate with minimal crew, 1 if necessary, which I thought was really
1 if necessary.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then Kirk and Khan, they have to like fly through space to like go ship to ship through space, and then they have to get through this 4x4 meter hole. And
have fun with that.
Yeah, I think Scotty, he says, I forget, but he has all of these analogies. It's like doing this, going through this while you're doing this. Like that's he like said the same one in the first movie when they were doing transwarp beaming. He's like, oh, that's not. It's like fighting a bullet into a smaller bullet while you're blindfolded and you're something.
And jumping into a shot glass.
Yeah. And so then this scene's pretty cool. Where the two of them are like flying through space and stuff.
Yeah, they're going through like the debris and stuff. Yeah, it's a neat scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kirk, and so they have this headset that like kind of shows, okay, this is the direction, the path you have to take to actually make it. Kirk loses his headset for a little bit, and while Scotty is having these problems, like this big dude, this meathead dude is like there. It's like, what are you doing here, bro? What are you doing? What are you doing here? It's like, I'm fixing things or something. I don't know. And so Scotty's stalling for time while Kirk and Con are like trying to get through this little 4-meter door.
Yeah, he has to open the door for them at the right time.
Yeah. And then Uhura's like, I don't know why I can't get him on the phone. Like, let me see. I'll override it so that, he can hear me. And so
Scotty, what's that?
I don't. Yeah, what is it? I have no idea. So yeah, this scene's kind of cool. And then like at the last second, Scotty's talking to this guy and he's like holding on to something. He's like, let me just hold on really tightly while I'm talking to you. And then at the last second, Khan helps Kirk. They both get through the little doorway. Scotty opens the door. The meathead guy gets sucked out, and the two of them fly in. So then Spock speaks with Spock Prime about Khan. And he's like, can you tell me about Khan?
And Spock's like, yeah, I died because of him.
Yeah,
Wasn't fun.
So he has it's really interesting what he says. He's like, I promise to never tell you anything about my life, that's to not alter your destiny. That having been said, Khan is
this is an extreme circumstance.
Khan is the most dangerous adversary the Enterprise ever faced. Okay, did you defeat him? Yes, at great cost. Okay,
I died.
He doesn't even. He doesn't
came back to life. I was Lazarus, bitch.
Yeah. So then Kirk so basically it's Kirk, Khan, and Scotty are like they're on the ship and they got to take people out. Khan's like killing the shit out of people. He's doing his thing. They get to the bridge. They take everybody out. Kirk takes out Khan. He stuns him. And Admiral Marcus, like they have this, this discussion, and he's like, he's like, Marcus, you're an asshole, and I'm gonna take you in for what you did. And he goes on this rant. He's like, who's gonna protect us from what's coming? Is it gonna be you child? Like our way of life.
You can't handle the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't handle the truth. The truth is, we're gonna be at war. We're already at war. You just don't understand it. No one understands it other than me. Trust me.
Meanwhile, Khan is waking up.
Yeah. Khan wakes up. He takes everybody out.
Mad.
He breaks Carol's leg.
Oh, that was rough. He just stomps on it. He doesn't even like do it gracefully. He just like sit the fuck down.
Yeah. Crack. And then he crushes Marcus's skull. He says something. I forget what he says.
You should have let me sleep. I mean, he's not wrong. Like, the biggest mistake he ever made was waking him up.
You should have let me sleep.
Yeah, then he just
crushes his head. So then Spock and Khan have a battle of wits. This scene is also really good. This scene is also very good. Because he's like threatening Kirk. And Kirk's like, don't give him anything. And he's like, shut up.
Hits him on the head. Yep.
Shut up, fuckboy. Let the intelligent people speak, you mouth breather.
Yeah, let the actual smart people in the room talk for a minute.
And so then they have this chess game. He's like, okay, so you give me my crew, and I'll give you your crew. Like, how about we do that? He's like, no, that's not gonna work because you're just gonna kill all of us. He's like, well, I forget what, but it was basically like, if you don't give him to me, then I'm going to start killing people here. And then I'm going to I forget, it was like, do something else. Basically he was like, if you don't do this, then I'm going to do this. And then Spock's like, well, then I'll just kill all your crew. It's like, well, if you do that, then I'm going to disable your systems and destroy your ship. And he's like, and then in the end, he's like, if you take my crew and don't give them to me, then I'm going to disable all of the systems on your ship. You guys will lose oxygen. Everybody's going to die. And then I'm going to walk over your dead bodies, take everybody back, and then leave and do
Check and mate.
It's like, shall we begin?
Honestly, Benedict Cumberbatch has the best dialogue in the movie. And he really does. And his delivery is just wonderful. He's so good. He's very threatening. He's not even I wouldn't say he's scary. He's just threatening. It's like you're cornered by a ballpoint python or some kind of venomous fucking snake, and he's just like, I'm gonna you don't know when the strike is coming, but it's coming.
It's coming, yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah. So Spock's like, okay, fine. I'll give you your crew back. And then
I kind of knew he wasn't going to kill his crew. Like, Spock's not going to kill 72 innocent people. Well, I mean, we don't know what they did in their past, but I'm just saying. They're asleep. It's not like they're fighting.
They're not a threat.
They're not a threat. They're literally in cryostasis. Like, they're not a threat yet.
Yeah. So Spock agrees. He tells them the location of the torpedoes. Khan warps the torpedoes to his ship. And then he's like, he sends Kirk and the rest of them back. He's like, hey, a ship should never go down without a captain. And then
like, wait, what?
yeah, warps them over into the brig, just as another kind of FU to them. And then he immediately starts firing on the Enterprise. And so, but the torpedoes were armed, and so they blow up the ship. They blow up the dreadnought. Yes.
And at this point in time, Khan is believing that his family is in those torpedoes.
Yes, that everyone's dead. He's like, no. He's really mad. He's really mad. But then, later on we see, like, they took the people out of the torpedoes. They put them in cryostasis.
Spock isn't a monster.
No, Spock didn't kill everybody. Although, that's definitely weighing the odds. Kill 73 people and not let Khan go rampaging. Yeah. It's a debate for another time. So the dreadnought is like out. It's done. It's like descending towards Earth. But so is the Enterprise. The Enterprise starts descending, and the warp core is malfunctioned, and they can't stabilize.
And
so
the
they're
shields,
falling.
I think the shields are all fucking. They could burn up in the atmosphere.
The shields are done. Yeah, they're already like, I think at like 30% when they got shot in warp. Then once they took the next volley of hits, they were done. They were totally done.
Yeah.
So Scotty and Kirk are like making their way to engineering, and like things are going crazy. This seems really crazy too, because like they got to run on the walls and shit. They got to jump across.
Yeah, because they're losing artificial gravity at some points. The ship is like healing, so everybody's like, shit.
Yeah.
I think that's why they put the seatbelts on too, because they are losing. They did lose artificial gravity, so they don't want to like go flying out of their seats and stuff like that.
Yeah. So they're running, and then they almost fall off this bridge, and then they get saved by Chekhov. So then Kirk and Scotty get to this. They get to this. I guess this engineering room where
it's where the warp core is.
The warp core is, and it's like, oh, the captain, the core injector, it's misaligned. Like we can't do anything. It's like, yeah, we can just realign it. It's like, but captain, if you went in there, blah 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 blah. And so then he's like,
starting to sound very familiar.
Yeah, very familiar. So he like knocks. He like knocks Scotty out, puts him in a chair. He like runs away. He runs back. He puts his seatbelt on, and then he goes.
I did like that he put his seatbelt on. I was like, okay, that's actually very sweet.
So then we see him do the thing. He goes in there. He realigns the warp core. He kicks it a bunch of times. He realigns the core injector. But he's like dead. He's dead the minute that he went in.
He's totally irradiated.
Yeah, he's gotten so much radiation that he is dead. But he did it. He made the sacrifice to do it. So this scene, right? This is like an inversion again of Wrath of Khan. Exact same thing. Except Spock did it in Khan, and now Kirk is doing it here. So is this pointless fan service, or is this actually okay?
It's pointless fan service. I don't like it at all.
So one thing I will say, I basically agree with you. I will say it is good again. Like we're now seeing Kirk change. which isn't to say that he wouldn't do this before, but this feels like a good way to like get us to a Kirk who is no longer the fuckboy Kirk. You know,
I agree. You just didn't have to do it this way. I do agree that it does. He's once again facing his own Kobayashi Maru test, but you could have done it a different way. Yeah, I don't know why we had to do it this way. I don't know why we had to take something that was already really well done and original and poignant.
Yeah.
And had more history behind it.
Yeah.
Than these two guys. It's just like it doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very fan servicey. It's I mean it works if you haven't seen Wrath of Khan, but like this is such a poor like knockoff. Like it's a shitty photocopy.
Yeah, it's not
Wrath of Khan. It's just
yeah. And quite frankly, it means it's the context is similar because Kirk has to learn how to lose something, and in Wrath of Khan, he's losing his best friend. He's not thinking of him as a first officer. It's his best friend that he's known for like 30 years at that point. And in this, it's just okay.
Yeah.
Kirk isn't why does Spock have to keep being shown people dying to get that he does care about Uhura? Like, I don't know why. He's already acknowledged that he does care about Uhura. Like earlier in the film, he was there when Pike was dying, kind of a thing. He's already faced his own mortality. Maybe it's just a way to piss off Spock so he beat the shit out of Khan. I don't know, but it's just it just doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. So then, you know, the ship's able to stabilize because of Kirk's sacrifice. Someone on the bridge says, "Oh, it's a miracle," and Spock's like, "There's no such thing." And then he gets a call from Scotty. It's like, "You got to come to engineering. You're gonna want to see this." They come down, and you know, he sees Kirk dying, and he's like, "Open the thing." He's like, "We can't open the thing because it's gonna flood the compartment with radiation. Like, it hasn't done the cycle yet." Like, so basically, he's dead. He's already dead. He was a dead man the minute he walked in there. And then they have the heart to heart or whatever, and he like, you know, he looks at him and
ship out of danger. Yes, you saved the ship.
Yeah, it's like, "Spock, I'm scared."
Which like, actually, you know, I will say, even though the scene doesn't do anything for me from a fan point of view, I don't think it's not poorly acted. It's not poorly acted. When Chris Pine says, "Spock, I'm scared," that's pretty emotional for him to admit that he is scared. I think is pretty important.
Yeah, and he's like, "Do you know why I couldn't let you die?" It's like, "Oh, because I'm your friend." And then he dies, and then this Spock says, "Khan."
I hate that. Oh my god,
Khan.
The context is wrong. He doesn't.
Well, like you say, it's fan service, right? Like that's what it is. It's fan service.
When William Shatner shouted Khan, it's because he was stranded in the belly of an asteroid with no way in his mind at the time of getting out. And I think Zachary Quinto's a fine actor, but when he shouts Khan, it's laughable. It's so laughable. And
yeah.
Next scene. Let's get to
so now Khan is crash landing, so he wants to give him a middle finger on the way out, so he points his ship towards Starfleet London on a crash course. He's like, "Yeah, I want to crash into Starfleet." So he crashes his dreadnought into Starfleet, and then once the thing crashes, he jumps off the ship.
Yeah, he just goes boop out.
Yeah, he just bounces. And he's like, and they're trying to track what's going on. It's like, "Captain, there's no way anyone lived." It's like, "There's one person who could live." They're watching him and they see him make the jump. He's like, "Whoa, he just jumped 30 meters. He's like, "Beam me down."
I can do it. I can do it.
So Spock beams down. We get this really cool chase scene. It's a good chase
scene. It's a good fight scene.
It's very good. They're running through London. We get to see futuristic London. They jump on some stuff. I don't even know what you would call these.
Probably like a trash ferry or something. It looks very mechanical, not mechanical. Nondescript, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably
just
autopiloted.
Yeah, it's just like exactly. It's automated. It's an automated trash compactor. It just does its thing. And so they get into the super precarious position where they're fighting on top of this flying thing. Meanwhile, McCoy is like running these tests with Khan's cells, and then he brings this thing back to life. And so he's like, "Oh, this is how I can save Kirk, but I need Khan alive." Okay, so Khan and Spock are fighting, and so they're fighting on this thing, and then Khan jumps off onto another platform, and then Spock has to jump onto it as well. Very crazy stuff. They're fighting and fighting and fighting. Spock's kind of losing, and then Uhura beams down and starts stunning Khan a bunch of times. He's like fighting his way through it, but then Spock comes to and just starts beating the shit out of him.
What I do like about this scene is that they both try and do like a signature move or something. Like Spock goes for the neck pinch, and clearly it hurts Khan, but he's not going down. And then he grabs Spock's head, and then Spock tries to mind meld with him. but it's very good. It has some
It's great.
Moments.
Yeah. It's really great. And then at some point, okay, so they win, and Spock's like about to just kill him. He's just gonna kill him.
Yeah, he's just.
And who's like, we need him. We need him to save Kirk.
We can save him. And he's like,
and he does this like great uppercut. He's like, ugh. So Kirk wakes up in a hospital bed, and he's like, "Oh, you just recovered from being dead. No, you weren't dead for that long." Blah 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 blah. All this stuff. It's kind of like the Lord of the Rings when Frodo wakes up. It's kind of like that.
And everyone comes running in.
Yeah. So that happens. Blah blah blah. Good times. Then there's a funeral for Pike. I like the scene. I think that if they do a fourth film, at some point there should be like a scene like this for Chekhov.
I think that'd be okay.
Yeah, that's just what I thought of.
Either don't acknowledge it or just say he's somewhere else.
They could recast it. I mean, recasting it would probably be.
If they recasted it now, it would probably be better. If they had made this movie in the immediate aftermath of Anton Yelchin's death, I don't think it would have landed very well. But at least there's been some time in between.
Yeah, they could recast him. That would be fine. Yeah, and so anyway, at the end, the Enterprise is sent, and Kirk is still captain somehow. Kirk is still, but he's changed. He's finally changed. And so they're sent on their 5-year mission to explore deep space and strange new worlds. So and that's the end of the film. So the 5-year mission, this is like a big deal, right? This is like one of the
that's the whole point of like why Kirk was out there in TOS in the first place. It was the 5-year mission.
Yeah, so this is like basically like the idea is we've now met TOS Kirk. This guy at the end of this film. I
don't think so, but we've caught up. We've caught up to the time that where he would have been in deep space probably.
Yeah, this is these filmmakers' idea of TOS Kirk.
Mm-hmm. Beyond is better, not these two first movies. Beyond is way better.
Cool. All right. So do you feel? How do we feel about Kirk at the end of this movie? Do you feel like you're satisfied, or was the journey to getting to the end of this movie, was it so frustrating that it just didn't work for you?
In the beginning, it's so frustrating that I don't even care by the end of Into Darkness. But after rewatching it a couple times, seeing where he finally ends up, it's a little more satisfying. First few times, it just takes so long. And I know Origins are like that. I know that's why characters have to develop. I'm fine with characters developing when they aren't, but when they already start out so insufferable, it's just ugh.
Yeah. So I guess for you, what's the most redeeming quality that this film has? The thing that you really go, okay, they did a lot of stuff that just didn't work, but this is the thing that they did do that did work.
I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch's portrayal of Khan is still really good. Poorly miscast, but he's very menacing. He's very threatening. I feel bad for him to an extent. I Spock and Uhura's relationship, having to, get through some really difficult, his hang-ups on not really being able to emote, and her hang-ups on like she needs that reinforcement sometimes is very relatable. It looks nice.
These films look really great.
Yeah, they look good.
One thing we'll kind of I know you did a video just like you had to like expel some thoughts about Star Wars.
I did. I couldn't wait anymore. Great. I'm sorry. I really had to.
I thought it was great. You also got an interesting comment on that video, but anyway, we'll move on. So one of the things that I think that when we talk about like, especially like prequels in comparison to sequels with Star Wars, and like some of the like the 2000s films of Star Trek in comparison to these, the production value, the way that they're able to visualize the world. I mean, we've come so far. I mean, these films look really great, and I think that they deserve a lot of credit for the way that they depict the sci-fi world of these films.
I agree. I do agree with that.
Visual effects. The films, I mean, Star Trek 09 still looks really great.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Great. I'm just remembering like that scene. Opening scene is amazing. The scene where like what's her name walks out onto the balcony and she sees like the drill drilling on Vulcan. Like that scene is like breathtaking. It's like whoa, like I feel like I'm there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this film again, it's the same stuff. Like it's so well done, visually appealing sci-fi, and like you're saying, like the sound effects when they're in warp and like the other ship is like going after. Like that's the scene I really like too, because like you're saying, the way that ship sounds, the Dreadnought, it sounds different than the Enterprise.
It does. It does. They gave it her own signature. Yeah, like grumble. Yeah, like grumble. It's very growly, almost animalistic, almost in a way as well, while being also manufactured. It's very good.
It's super foreboding.
I love Peter Weller.
Yeah. He's great. Yeah, he's great. He's great because he's actually kind of a Shakespearean actor, which is kind of funny. In comparison to all the things he's done. I think he's great, and like I love when he makes all those, like especially when Kirk confronts him and he makes that speech about like you don't understand, boy. There's a war coming, and who's going to protect us? You're an idiot. You're a total idiot. You got tricked by me. Like I'm the one who's going to have to save us from what's going to happen. Like that stuff is good. Yeah, so I think those are probably the positives that we have to say about this movie. I like this film personally. I like this film. I'm able to sort of forgive all of the, because again, I don't have the like the hangups about the stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
That a lot of people do. What's funny is like there's some like small quibbles I have about some Star Wars films, especially like the sequel. Like I actually think the sequel films are pretty good, but there's some stuff that they've done that kind of, I don't know, doesn't make sense basically in some of the timelines, which we'll talk about. Kind of stuff in Rogue One, especially, where I'm like, wait, that kind of changes how I feel about New Hope. I don't know how I feel about that. But anyway, so so like since I don't have the hangups, like I don't really like, because like for a lot of stuff I kind of get the references, like I get the fan surfacey stuff, and so when he says I'm Khan, like I get it, and I'm like, oh shit, this is like it's like a big deal. They were lying the whole time. He was Khan all along, and it's like kind of exciting. Like I was very excited when he said I'm Khan. I remember we had this discussion before about like the mystery box thing. Like JJ is very kind of obsessed with this mystery box idea, where it's like you create a mystery for your audience, and then you say, oh, there's something in the box, but then you get them invested in wanting to know what's in the box. And like basically the problem with the mystery box is like there's basically two ways you can resolve it. So either you tell them what's in the box, and that kind of makes repeat viewings worse, because like, okay, when I know what's in the box, when I know he's Khan, does that make the film worse? Maybe it does a little bit. Maybe it makes it so that it's a little bit flat now that I know that he's Khan and not someone else, because I don't get that initial reaction out of him saying my name is Khan. Or you don't tell them at all. You just leave it open-ended, and sometimes you're unsatisfied.
I personally would have loved him to not have been Khan. Not because he's bad as Khan, not at all. I think it would have just been more interesting if it had been a disillusioned former Starfleet operative who's been undercover with Section 31 and doing really horrible clandestine missions that aren't sanctioned, aren't ethical, and his life is ruined by it, and he goes crazy. Like I feel like that would have been way more true to life than
forcing him to be Khan, because
forcing him to be Khan, because it's just like, okay, so because we have, like you said, we have no thread in this universe to tie us to Khan at all.
It's all prime stuff. It's all prime timeline stuff.
Exactly.
That's the only reason that people would care.
Yeah, and it just doesn't make any sense to me personally. I think it would have been way more interesting if he really was John Harrison, former Section 31 operative, going rogue because he's disillusioned by Starfleet and thinks that it's all a lie.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't the film that we got, but
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So we got one more film to go, if you can believe it.
One more.
So we're going to talk about Star Trek Beyond. Will be the next thing that we're going to talk about. And then we'll round it out every single Star Trek film. If you can believe
Not
it.
including fan films. Sorry, there's too many of you, but you're doing the Lord's work out there.
Yes.
Straight on.
Very unfortunate, the whole Axanar situation, but
yeah, it's unfortunate. I've kind of just made my peace with it. I mean, I'm not the one who was trying to make it, so I can't really stay unhappy.
Exactly.
But yeah, poor Axanar.
Yeah. So, well, until next time, take care, everybody, and may the Force be with you.
Live long and prosper.